Good evening, everyone. My name is Akiko Kochiyama, and today I'll be presenting our study entitled The Third Year of ChatGPT, Advanced Japanese University Students' Usage, Educational Support, and Outcomes. This presentation is based on a classroom-based study conducted in Japan in 2024. Thank you for joining me. Since ChatGPT's public launch in November 2022, it has sparked ongoing transformation in English education. There are divided opinions. Some see rich opportunities, while others emphasize pitfalls like over-reliance or plagiarism. This study doesn't aim to argue abstract theory, but instead focuses on real classroom practices and student outcomes in 2024. We wanted to see what happens when advanced students actually use ChatGPT over a sustained period with guidance and structure. This study focuses on three main questions. How do advanced Japanese university students use ChatGPT? What kinds of educational support are most effective? What kinds of learning outcomes can we observe? These three areas guided our design, instruction, and analysis throughout the 8-week study. We worked with 40 advanced level English learners at a Japanese university. The program ran for 8 weeks during the autumn semester of 2024. These were motivated students with previous experience in academic English but little to no structured use of generative AI in class before this study. Our instructional process followed 3 stages. Initial survey to understand students' starting point and ChatGPT usage habits. Instructional support offered both by the course instructor and a guest expert in AI-assisted learning. Integration phase where students conducted independent research projects applying ChatGPT in flexible, learner-centered ways. This structure allowed us to monitor shifts in usage patterns and metacognitive awareness across the 8 weeks. In the beginning, students did not use ChatGPT in meaningful ways for concrete English learning. It was mostly for curiosity or casual exploration, and often in Japanese. Many students wrote vague ideas, and English output was rare. This confirmed the need for explicit instructional support to encourage productive engagement. We introduced 2 core principles early on: growth in English ability, no unethical use of AI. We clearly communicated that AI should not be used for automatic report writing or cheating. Instead, students were asked to submit interim reports showing how they used ChatGPT and what progress they had made. The goal was to promote creativity and critical thinking through transparent use. However, the interim reports revealed that students were still struggling. Most wrote only vague ideas in Japanese, and again, there was no clear evidence of ChatGPT being used for English learning. This told us that awareness was not enough. We needed practical models and discussion of use cases to help students apply AI meaningfully. At this point, we invited Professor Tom Gali from the University of Tokyo, a specialist in generative AI and English education. His session emphasized specific, ethical, and creative ways of using ChatGPT. This was the turning point. Students began to experiment more, especially after seeing demonstrations and hearing real examples. We found that expert input was critical for moving from vague ideas to applied learning. After this, we conducted a second round of questioning to see how student use had evolved. We asked 3 questions. How often do you use it? What tools do you use? How do you use it? These questions helped us identify distinct usage patterns, from casual users to more reflective and strategic users. We saw the beginnings of metacognitive development, especially among those who began to adapt their use based on learning goals. We first asked, how often do you use ChatGPT? Student responses varied widely, from daily users to those who had hardly used it at all. This highlighted the need to meet students where they are and provide differentiated guidance. It also reminded us that frequency doesn't always reflect depth or quality of engagement. Next, we asked what tools you use. The most commonly mentioned was ChatGPT, followed by tools like Gemini, Claude, and DeepL. Interestingly, several students use multiple tools, combining them for different purposes. This showed early signs of strategic tool selection, which we encourage later. Next, we asked what tools you use. The most commonly mentioned was ChatGPT, followed by tools like Gemini, Claude, and DeepL. Interestingly, several students use multiple tools, combining them for different purposes. This showed early signs of strategic tool selection, which we encourage later. To help students understand the rapid evolution of AI tools, we provided a short history. In fall 2016, machine translation improved dramatically. In fall 2022, ChatGPT was launched. Since then, we've seen a proliferation of generative AI tools. This historical framing helps students appreciate how recent yet transformative these developments are. Here we introduce students to major tools: ChatGPT, OpenAI, Gemini, Google, Claude, Anthropic, DeepSeek, Llama, Mixtro, Grok, Sonos One. We emphasize that each has different strengths. Some are better for summarizing, others for creativity. This helps students move from which AI is best to which AI is best for this purpose. We gave students a hands-on example using a phrase from the New York Times, bowing to an angry electorate. ChatGPT was able to explain this clearly and contextually, in plain English. Students realized that ChatGPT could function like a friendly tutor, explaining authentic phrases from real-world texts. This experience shifted perceptions from AI equals cheat tool to AI equals learning assistant. We then gave structured tasks. Ask ChatGPT to generate 20 interesting topics, narrow it down to 10 youth-related themes, choose one, such as street dance, and generate a sample text. We asked, does this writing feel like your own? Students reflected on voice, tone, and authenticity, key aspects of responsible AI use. Students were encouraged to personalize ChatGPT's responses. Ask for simpler wording. Request natural tone. Practice real delivery without reading scripts. Many students gained confidence, especially in speaking tasks. One said, "It felt like AI was helping me sound more like myself in English." This encouraged ownership of learning. Throughout the project, students were asked to document their prompts, AI responses, and reflections. We emphasized something, not just what AI said, but how they used it and what they learned from it. This supported metacognitive awareness and let students trace their own growth in real time. Here are a few key student reflections. I used to think ChatGPT only gave generic answers. But now I see it can be like my personal tutor. I want to make the most of these tools, not be used by them. If I could ask questions anytime, my efficiency and quality would both improve. These comments show a shift in mindset from passive to active, critical engagement with AI tools. Another student made a profound connection to broader social concerns. One comment that left a strong impression on me was that Japan will benefit from generative AI. She noted that Japan's aging society and declining workforce may be supported by AI tools. Her insight reframes AI not as a job stealer, but as a solution to labor shortages. This shows that students are thinking beyond classroom applications, connecting AI to real-world policy and labor trends. Here, the student wrote, I regularly use generative AI, but I always make sure not to rely on it completely. I try to extract useful elements to support and strengthen my own arguments. This shows an ideal use pattern, not offloading tasks to AI, but rather using it as a scaffold. She is reflecting on her own learning, actively managing the relationship between her voice and AI assistants. Such reflection is a key sign of metacognitive maturity. Another student shared, watching the teacher interact with AI to create a speech draft made me reflect. I had only focused on output, but I realized it's important to consider what I can gain from the results. This is a powerful realization. She moved from product-oriented thinking to process-oriented learning. Her phrase, I will try to input prompts with my own learning in mind, shows an emerging understanding of input quality and learner agency. This student reflected on the personality of different AIs. Each generative AI has its own characteristics. For example, Claude feels warmer than ChatGPT. Some are better at summarizing, others at translating or creative tasks. This comment shows deep critical engagement with technology. She's no longer treating AI as a monolith, but as a toolbox, each tool with unique strengths. Her goal is to match AI to purpose, which is an advanced level of digital literacy. This student says, what interested me most was that ChatGPT can remember personal information about me. That function might require a subscription, but I found it fascinating. She also says, conversations with AI could help children correct grammar or choose better vocabulary. She is exploring future implications. Could AI become a private tutor, a counselor? Tucking, her reflection shows a high degree of curiosity, imagination, and awareness of social and educational implications. Another student says, I had never heard much about generative AI before, but now I have a deeper understanding. I was surprised ChatGPT can remember my personality and preferences. This student expresses a shift in familiarity and comfort with AI. She has moved from inexperience to a sense of ownership and plans to explore it further. The language of personalized responses marks a growing appreciation for adaptive learning environments. Finally, one student commented, I used to think that simply using AI would help me study, but now I've learned that it's important to understand how to use it properly. This is one of the clearest indicators of metacognitive development in the entire project. She now understands that skillful use, not just access, determines success. she concludes that she wants to apply it not only for English but in other fields, demonstrating cross-disciplinary awareness. To analyze these reflections and behaviors, we used qualitative methods. We looked at patterns of use, interaction styles, learning outcomes. From this, we extracted key pedagogical insights, which I'll share in the final section. This qualitative lens was essential to capture the rich, nuanced changes in how students used and thought about AI. One major group of students used ChatGPT to improve their English skills. They engaged in extended dialogue, repeatedly interacting with the tool to check word choice, revise phrasing, and clarify meaning. These students prioritized accuracy, clarity of expression, and iterative learning. This behavior reflects deeper language engagement. For these students, ChatGPT became a collaborative thinking partner rather than just a tool for answers. In contrast, another group of students focused on producing well-structured reports with minimal effort. They asked ChatGPT to generate entire drafts and made few, if any, changes. This behavior was more transactional and showed low interaction frequency, minimal revision, no real reflection on content. This group emphasized product over process, which led to shallow learning outcomes. So, what can we learn from this? We propose 3 key strategies: encourage exploratory, dialogic use, get students to interact, revise, and question AI. Design support that fosters self-reflection, let students track and think about how they use AI. Provide models of productive prompting. Many students don't know how to ask AI useful questions. Sample prompts help develop this skill. In short, we need to teach students how to learn with AI, not just how to use it. However, there are challenges we must face. Over-reliance on AI-generated content. Shallow engagement when students use it only to complete assignments. Lack of ethical guidance, especially regarding plagiarism or misrepresentation. These risks are real. That's why structured instruction and teacher support are essential, not to ban AI, but to shape responsible, thoughtful usage. Based on our findings, we offer 3 recommendations for educators. Integrate AI literacy into the curriculum. Students need both technical and ethical instruction. Offer scaffolded practice. Don't just tell students to use AI, guide them through it. Promote learner autonomy. Help students ask better questions and reflect more deeply. These steps will help learners use AI not as a shortcut, but as a tool for growth and insight. In conclusion, ChatGPT is powerful when used thoughtfully. Educational support and structure are critical for positive outcomes. Our study suggests that with proper guidance, students can grow not only in language skill, but also in autonomy, strategy, and self-awareness. Finally, more research is needed to explore long-term effects and to design curricula that develop AI literacy in sustainable ways. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or would like to discuss this research further, please feel free to reach out at the email address mentioned here. I look forward to your insights and questions.